Hello friends, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we are going to study about transportation planning and engineering. In this video, we will see some essential component of transportation by covering key topics such as introduction to transportation, then mode of transportation. We will also compare various mode of transportation, then historical development of roads. Later we will see transportation planning by exploring the objectives and processes involved in planning efficient and sustainable transportation system. And lastly we will see classification of roads such as rural road network or urban roads. So once again, welcome to this channel. My name is Rahul and you're watching Architecture and Planning with Rahul. So first we will understand what is a transportation system. So a transportation system consists three major components. First is fixed facilities, then the flow entities and its control systems. Fixed facilities includes roads, rails, tunnels, bridges and any facilities that is fixed. Basically these are the infrastructure where vehicle moves. Second is the flow entity. So flow entity includes cars, trains, buses, aeroplanes and any kind of mode of transport. And the last component is control system. So control system allows and permit people and goods to overcome the friction of geographical space efficiently in order to participate in a timely manner. Basically this is a system that controls a particular vehicle to operate on a particular track. For example, a car will only run on a road, but a train cannot run on a road. Likewise, we create a bypass around a city. So a heavy vehicle like a truck will use that bypass so that it will not create any disturbance in the city. Another example of control system can be traffic signal which guide the vehicles. Similarly, a breaker or signage that restrict a vehicle to a defined limit. So these are the three major components of a transportation system. Definition of these components are given here, so you can read them side by side. Now let's see some common mode of transport. So it is mainly of three types. First is land transport, second is water transport and third is air transport. And these are some common mediums through which you can travel on land, which includes road, tram, railways. In this case, this is the fixed entities, whereas in water transport, seaports are fixed entities, and for air transport, airports, runways are the fixed infrastructure. Now we will see some advantages and disadvantages of different mode of transports. Some advantage of road transports are it is much cheaper in comparison to other transport. It provides door-to-door service even in rural areas. Road transport is much suitable for shorter distance. Also the risk of damage is lesser in road transport. People generally prefer this transport because of its rapid speed and its cost-effective nature. Road transport also has some disadvantages, like it is not convenient for all seasons. As we know, number of users are very higher in road transport, so there is high chances of accident and breakdowns. Other than this, road transport is not suitable for a long distance and in the areas where traffic level is very high. Sometimes roadway takes huge amount of time in comparison to other mode of transport such as airways. Apart from this, in some areas where there is unplanned settlements, there is lack of organization for roadways. So these are some advantage and disadvantage of road transport. Now let's see rail transport. So these are some advantages, like it is very dependable, better organized, high speed over long distance, suitable for bulky and heavy goods, cheaper than the road transport or air transport, very safe in comparison to other. It can provide a larger capacity. Some of the disadvantage of rail transport are it required a huge capital for outlay, lack of flexibility, lack of door-to-door service. This transport is not suitable for shorter distance. Such transport are not available in all the areas, especially in rural areas or hilly areas. Let's come to the air transport, and some of the advantages are listed here, like it can provide high speed, hence less time taking, comfortable and quick services. There is no investment in construction of tracks. Also, there is no physical barrier, easy to access. Also, in case of disaster or emergency, it can provide emergency services. It is good for longer distance, but it also has some disadvantages, like it is very costly. Also, carrying capacity is very less. This type of transport is very uncertain and unreliable. High chances of breakdowns and accidents will be there. It requires large investment and specialized skill workforce. Now, all the three mode of transport have some common element of transport, and to transport goods, people and services from one place to another place or from our origin to our destination. These elements are very essential. So this element include a vehicle. All the three mode of transport requires a vehicle which carries the passenger or goods, and there will be a particular route on which these vehicle will be moved. Terminal facilities such as bus stand, railway stations, and airports are essential. It is also useful for loading and unloading of goods and passengers. All the three system requires an energy which calls prime mover, like petrol, diesel, electricity or any kind of fuel. All the three systems have their average transit time or average cost of construction, and all the three modes has cargo facilities. This is some basic comparison between various mode of transportation on parameters such as accessibility, speed, capacity, initial capital cost, operating cost, and their efficiency. So you can also read them for better understanding. Now we will see some role of transportation in society. So as we know, transportation is very essential part of a city or a settlement, and sometimes transportation elements such as routes leads to the development because people generally prefer to move in those areas which are highly accessible. Like it can impact economically by providing better movement of goods and people. Better transportation means better reachability, and better reachability means better fulfilling of demand, especially in those areas where the demand is high. Simply, it can reduce the gap between production and consumption and can decrease the difference between a seller and buyer. Transportation also helps socially by connecting one place to another or one people to another very easily. It can also help politically, and one can use these infrastructure to manipulate some decisions in their favor. Another impact of transportation can be seen on environment, and in this case its harmful aspect is more prominent than its useful aspect, as transportation leads to various type of pollution such as air pollution, noise pollution, overuse of renewable or non-renewable source of energies. Also, it can lead to various accidents. Modes of transportation can be categorized into two categories. First is primary mode, which includes land transport, air transport, water transport, pipeline or tunnel transport. So these type of transports are very common and can be used or replicate anywhere around the world. Whereas secondary mode of transport, which includes roadway, belt conveyors or canals, are not very common mode of transportation. These are generally used for a specific purpose or to complete a particular task. We cannot replicate these secondary mode of transportation to everywhere. Also, the cost of secondary mode of transportation is very high in comparison to primary mode of transportations. So after this role of transportation, we will move to the historical development of roads. As a human, we first started moving by our foot, and this led to the requirement and development of footpaths. Next major mode was the use of animals, which were often loaded by heavy cargo. Horse, donkey, elephant and ox are some common animal used for transportation. At this point of time, a proper trackway started getting developed. Animal can usually move on the track. Invention of wheel was a major step in the development of transportation, especially from animal drawn vehicles. And then human realized the necessity of hard roads because they wanted to carry a large cargo to a large distance. And here comes the history of roads, starting from the Roman roads. So Roman roads were firstly developed in Rome city, radiating in the many directions from the center of the city. A typical cross-section of Roman roads can be seen in this diagram, in which first the foundation stone is lead and bounded by lime mortar. Romans already knew that the fundamental of good roads construction were to provide good drainage, good material and good workmanship. These roads were typically constructed on a firm ground with bordered by longitudinal drains. Here you can read the construction detail of these roads. Some of the main features of these roads were these were built regardless of gradient. It used heavy foundation at the bottom, mortar generally made from lime and volcanic pozzolana, and gravel added to make it more concrete. Beside the building, concrete was a major material used for making roads by Romans. The Roman road network built during 7th century extended over a total length of 90,000 km, of which about 14,000 km still exist in the present day. Then comes the Tresguet Road or French roads. Major development in this road construction is happened during the Napoleon period. More detail of this road is given in point 4 to 9. Next is Telford construction. So this is very similar type of construction that we already seen in Tresguet in France. Such road typically has a slope, so water can run off easily. Next is macadam construction or British roads, which is recognized as the first scientific road construction method. These roads were typically designed and constructed by proper study by what has been done in the past. This is a typical diagram of macadam roads. Then comes the modern roads, which also follows the macadam construction method, and this is the road made of bituminous concrete and cement concrete materials, which include some advanced and cost-effective construction technologies. New equipments helped in the faster construction of road, and till now it become easier to test locally available materials. So friends, that's all in this video. This was the basic introduction of transportation planning, in which we have covered the basic introduction of transport, various mode of transport, its role and impact on society, and lastly the history of development of roads. In the second part, we will cover more important topics. So if you haven't subscribed the channel, please do subscribe. Also like this video. मिलेंगे आपसे अगले वीडियो में. Until then, goodbye.